already my second webinar on how to make your feminine cycle your best friend. Great to have you here. Every single time I have an opportunity to share with the world my passion, which is sharing the message of the feminine cycle with women and men, because it's as important for women as it is for men to understand and to create a different world, actually. I feel very touched because I can understand that for men it'd be a kind of weird subject to deal with or to get information about it. How to make your feminine cycle your best friend. How interesting and amazing. For the majority of people, the feminine cycle is actually something weird, something mucky and dirty, and some people even call it the curse. I would like to say to those people, have you ever thought that nature is not clever enough to design something for a specific purpose? How could it be that something so well designed, that works so well, has been working for millions of years, is something to disregard and to judge as something so dirty or not valuable at all? We are going to look at it today in a very different way, and by the end of our time together, I really want you to have, hopefully, a different horizon, a different landscape in front of you, and see it as something special. Because if you see the value of it and how special it is, you will learn to live following your feminine flow, which is actually the source of all happiness. And we as women, we are so lucky. We have been designed in such a way that we can experience ecstasy, ecstatic states for free. It's just a question of get to know ourselves, our body, and as a consequence of that, we get to know each other women, as ourselves. The knowledge starts from ourselves first. So before I go further, I would like to tell you something myself, because some of you have known me a bit, and some of you have never heard about it. So, who is Gabriella Guglielminotti Trivel? And how did I end up being a feminine cycle consultant? Weird thing, isn't it? So, I'm originally from Italy, from Turin, which is in the northwest part of Italy. And originally I studied languages, became an interpreter, and at the same time also because of my work, I ended up in Swiss Alps, volunteering and translating and interpreting for an international microbiology institute. So that really was for me the link to a more expanded world, because I came across microbiotic and so many different alternative therapies that in my own time I hadn't known of. And so this was really the start of my journey as a woman who wanted to be courageous and look into the unknown and look maybe at a less trodden path. So besides understanding that my body actually could heal itself, which was for me such a revelation because it's so different from the normal medicine point of view, or anyway the allopathic medicine. So this really took me on a journey of self-discovery that has been going on for the best part of 30 years. But how did I end up in UK? I got to know who became my first husband, when I was traveling and I was working in the tourism industry in the Maldives. So I became acquainted with this man who was British, and so before I knew, I ended up in living in London. So this was a very exciting time for me, and I got to know different people. I worked in different places, but little by little, because I was trying to conform and to be a good partner and then wife, I kind of lost myself in a way. And so when this happened, generally, pain started kicking in. And before I knew, my life became very painful and my relationship fell apart. And I was also married after that work. So I found myself really in a very difficult situation. And I felt really unhappy, and I started missing my cycle. That for me was wake-up call. Why? Because I understood that my body was really trying to communicate with me. And for some reason, I always track my cycle since I started having menstruation. And not because somebody told me, I just did it spontaneously, intuitively. And so I knew that my body really wanted to communicate with me, and I had to do something if I wanted to understand what was going on deeply inside myself. So I put out there a desire, a request to the universe, or you could call it God, the providence, or whatever is your belief system. And I have to be enlightened on this subject and to know more about it, because I really felt it was important. So we are always heard, I believe. And so a few years later, I became acquainted with the work of a British-born therapist called Trivel. And I, for the first time in my life, listening to a conference call with her, I really got interested in something that felt so right. And I felt there was something that was talking to me. I remember making the decision to go to her workshop, and I still remember like yesterday that I was walking towards this seminar I was going to attend. And I could feel inside, even if I didn't know yet what it was all about, I could feel inside something very important. I could feel something exciting and something that it was filling me with joy, even if I didn't know what it would be. So I ended up discovering so much about it, and becoming aware of my life call, and becoming aware of why I always felt this strong bond with women. Whenever I would meet a woman, since I was little, I always felt this bond, and I couldn't really make sense of it. And then all of a sudden that day I realized why. And so in 2010 I started practicing, becoming active, because I want to share my message to as many women as possible. And why? Because this knowledge, this simple knowledge, changed my life. I mentioned that I started my path with the personal development very early on. And even if I trained in different therapies, I became acquainted with different approaches, I never really got to the bottom of it. I always felt there was something missing for me. And it was only when I became clear about the role of feminine cycle in my own life as a woman that it was almost like everything was falling into place and made sense. And so I couldn't believe that such simple knowledge is not part of every woman's life. And so I had to do something about it. That's what I decided to do, start sharing my message. So I want to share with you as well my motto, because I think it describes me a bit. And the motto is I am happy and free, I am me. And I want to do everything possible that this motto can become the motto of every woman. Because there is much more joy, much better situation to be in than being yourself and feeling that you are appreciating every single bit of you, your body, your emotions, your experiences, your mission, if you have one, and your soul. So I'm happy and free, I'm me. Remember that. Make it your own motto too. I want to first explore a bit why women are where they are. Why are we in a situation where the majority of us don't understand their body, don't appreciate it, and they put themselves second, and first comes everybody else except them. I'm going to start with my questions, and I would like you to pause and just listen to them and see what they speak to you, what comes up for you. Okay? So let's start. Why don't we love our body as our most precious gift? Why are we more concerned on how it looks? Why are we happy with ourselves when we please others rather than us first? Why? Why do we to consider ourselves second to everybody else? Why have we forgotten ourselves? Isn't it time to change? I wonder. I do think it's time to change, but I just wonder, are you ready to change? We have to, if we look at history, even in the last few thousands of years, we can really easily see that women have been repressed for a long time. Things are changing is definitely what I perceive, and you might have a similar experience. There's so much going on at the moment. There's so much talk about the feminine energy and the goddess, being a goddess and all the rest of it. So there's something on the planet that's going on, and hopefully it will be the start of a new era for women. But I think we all have to really have an active role in this and do something for time to change and to create. And why? Bottom line, why do we want to do this? Well, because I suppose, I can definitely talk about myself, for myself about this. I want to live a better world. I am not a mother, personally I don't have children, but to me, any child is my child. Any woman, I feel a strong bond with, as if she was me. So I want to do something to create a better, more full of fun world. So we can all contribute to this change in society and the way we consider ourselves. It's time for women to stop living like men, and it's time for us to embrace our femininity. So my question to you is, are you ready for this paradigm shift? If I think about myself earlier on, so still steeped in the old fashioned way of living, and the influence I had while I was in my formative years, the role model I had in my mom and the women in my family, it wasn't definitely a teaching of being proud, of being strong, of being connected to feeling and so forth. So my understanding back then was that being a woman is actually okay if you follow certain guidelines, if you are attractive, if you can be desired, etc., etc. But all of this I learned just much later on is not really empowering for the woman. So my question to you is, would you like to learn to nurture yourself so that you feel powerful, even in your most vulnerable moments? Would you like to grow up as an adult woman rather than remaining an adolescent in all your life? It's time to discover ourselves totally, embrace our femininity in full, totally, rather than content ourselves with the way that things have been so far. There's so much more that we can do and we can be. So what's the next step for women? Now, women need to rediscover their body and, above all, the sacredness of their body. If we look at the media, it's easy to see that women are treated like objects, most of the time like sexual objects, and useful, obviously, because the woman's body is very often used as a tool to sell more, and as a sexual object, as an appealing thing. And I do strongly believe that we, as women, we need to find our own authority. And we have to reconnect with our feminine rhythms. We have to remember something so important, which is happiness. It's not just something you gain. It's not a goal. It's our birthright. But to be able to be happy and consider happiness our daily experience, we have to change the way we consider ourselves, our approach to our body and us as a person, as a human being, not just an object. I believe that the full potential of a woman is much higher than what we really can even imagine right now. I believe that collectively we can wake up and change things. We can take with us women who are maybe behind us, still not aware of all this change that is happening on the planet. We can dream together collectively our future, and we can discover our feminine cycle. And the purpose of me talking to you today is really help you to see what the feminine cycle is and the purpose of it. So you can then go on your journey of self-discovery, because until you do your work, until you really look into yourself on a daily basis and see how this speaks to you, it's of no value. It's only academic. So my encouragement is to discover your reality, not just believe that what I say to you is important. It is important to me, but until it becomes your reality because you are experiencing it on a daily basis, it means nothing. So, relationship with yourself, very important. It should be our first duty to develop the relationship with ourselves before even thinking of doing anything else. Women need to find out how wonderful they are, how wondrous their body is, and learn to love it so much and so intimately. We can't think of having success or a good relationship with a man, maybe our children, our parents, or the world, if we are not aware of who we are, and if we don't have a strong relationship with ourselves. So on this journey of self-discovery, we have to learn to always shine our light, but at the same time it's as important to learn to embrace our shadow, because it's the Hieros Gamos, which is in Greek, means the Holy Communion, or the light and the shadow that really makes who we are. So where the feminine cycle stands in all this? The feminine cycle is the key to the door of everything. And why? Quite simply, every woman, consciously and unconsciously, during the month experiences the masculine energy, so her light, her mission, her place in the world, and at the same time experiences her feminine energy, which is her shadow, her essence, and her truth. And all this happens in a very flowing way every single month, and it's all being designed by nature. How clever is that? Let's step a little bit further. Now, a woman, when she goes through menarche, which is the first menstrual cycle that she has, so she starts becoming a woman, and more of a woman, obviously, because she can, if she so desire, can give birth to another human being. So the menstruating years, which are the years between menarche and menopause, so all those years when she cycles, basically she flows with this gift of nature, we can consider these years, they can be 30, 35, 40, it depends, we are all different. They are her apprentice years. So during those years, she learns, or she should learn, about herself and what is important to her, and all the parts of her, the bright sides and the darker sides. Then, when she reaches menopause, she reaches graduation day. I call it graduation day, because it's the moment when she almost kind of reaches the end of her apprentice years, and it's almost like a university, right? When you pass all your exams, then you have the final exams, which is your graduation. And after that, because of her apprentice years, she can then become totally a woman and impart her wisdom that she has obviously acquired during the apprentice years and share it with the world. Can you see that it's a slightly different way of seeing things rather than what you might read in the papers or how it's spoken about in the media, where menopause is definitely like doomsday? Definitely is not something considered very powerful women at all. So a very different way of looking at our life and our womanhood, I would say. Now, I want to go into the Sancta Sanctorum, which is the most sacred innermost part of the temple, which is our body. And I want to share with you this basic knowledge that is so important. A woman every month goes through 4 seasons, and for isn't it of explanation, I am going to call this season and compare them with the normal season that we experience in nature. So we go through spring, the summer, the autumn, and the winter. So let's analyze them a bit. Let's look into them one by one. Let's start from spring. So we all have experienced spring in our life, and we know very well the type of energy that we have in ourselves and around us in nature during springtime. And this time can be compared to the pre-ovulatory phase of our cycle. So it's actually when our menstruation finishes, we stop bleeding, and we enter the pre-ovulatory phase. Now, during this time, a woman feels wonderful, feels great, and feels she can achieve it all. She feels and she thinks that she can have it all. And life is very appealing, it's fantastic, it's very, it's nurturing, it's exciting. Everything looks positive, feels positive, it's great. In the second week, we enter into summer. And summer can be compared to our ovulatory phase. It's when we ovulate and our body becomes fertile, and if we have sex, we can conceive if we so desire. So in the ovulatory phase, which is compared to summer, we experience a very expanded type of energy. And it's almost nature at its best. So even if we don't do much, we just look great. We also, as a consequence, feel also great. We feel abundant, happy, we are very active, we can be something to everybody, and we feel like life is really sweet, and we flow with life. We feel loving, caring, we are very social, we organize all sorts of things, and we have plenty of energy. We don't need to sleep much, and everything looks hunky-dory, we say in UK. It's very rosy. It's like we see life through pink-tinted glasses. And then the wheel turns, and we enter our autumn. So like autumn, like we are now for these people in the northern hemisphere, is compared to the premenstrual phase, which is the week before we start bleeding. And the energy of our autumn, our inner autumn, is really different. We start connecting with our essence and with our truth. And we start seeing things that normally we don't. So everything we ignored in spring because we looked at the world through pink-tinted glasses. Now we see just the opposite. And we start focusing and notice all the things that don't work and we haven't done properly. We start having doubt. And those doubts really feel so real. And we criticize, we experience our inner critic. But all of this, if we look deeper, we can easily understand how important it is and fundamental to grow. Because if we only see the bright side of things, we never really grow, we never really see how we can improve things. We can't appreciate all the things that maybe we're discarded and not seen and taken into consideration. So we have less energy and we use that energy very carefully for what is important to us. Very important. And then we enter winter, which is comparable to our bleeding week. So this is a special week, and this is really the week when women should really, even more than the rest of the month, consider their body sacred. So sacred that every need will have to be met. It's time for yourself, what we call me time. And it's a time of expansion where our psyche becomes very open and we connect with other dimensions very naturally. And so we become more psychic than normal. Our intuition is really at a peak, at this high. And also our body needs more rest. So it's time to revitalize ourselves, to recharge our batteries. That's why it's time to look at ourselves. after ourselves more and pay attention to what comes up for us, because there is an inner wisdom coming to the surface. Very important to appreciate it, because if we don't and we do business as usual, we are missing all this. If we stop and we start looking inside, it's a time where we can be blessed with moments of blissful, ecstatic states. So we don't need drugs being women. We can just enjoy our body. Really, nature gives us this opportunity. It's a delightful time. Very quiet. I mean, if you think about it, in winter, you tend to be more indoors, right? And you enjoy looking in and spending more reflective time rather than going out and go mad and go partying and so forth, right? So this is what happens every month in our body. So I say to you, woman, the answer to all our questions are in our body. It's a question of getting to know our body so well, because it speaks to us in a different way every week. But if we don't pay attention, it all goes down the drain. It's almost like wisdom at its best, not being seen, heard, or felt. What a waste, don't you think? Also, I want to, because some men also joined us today, I really want to make this point. When a woman is in a relationship with a partner, she has to be an inspiration for her man. And I want to explain this in practical terms. If the woman is not connected with herself and her wisdom, she cannot be an inspiration. But if she is not an inspiration, there won't be the right natural balance that nature designed for us. And the man will just feel lost. And I don't mean it in a patronizing way. I really mean it in a very self-loving way. You know, in a couple relationship, when love flows, there's a mutual respect that really rules everything. So when the woman is in sync with the flowing, with the nature, she can then, share all her knowledge and her experiences with a man. So it becomes a joint venture. It becomes a journey of self-discovery for both of them. And so the woman can experience her lights and shadows reflected in her partner and vice versa. Obviously, communication is very important, otherwise this process cannot take place. But can you see how expensive it all can be? So the feminine cycle is a tool for wisdom and growth for both. It's not just for women. And it's so important that men understand this process, because then it gives them an opportunity to get to know themselves more and enjoy, obviously, themselves and their relationship with women much, much more at a deeper level. And also, if we consider the importance of the feminine cycle, that is it's the cycle of life, of creation, we will see that our body is teaching us to create. It's teaching us how to create, how to be inspired, go out and do things, create, and then review, revise, and improve, and then rest, and then all over again. So going through our inner season every month is a way for a woman to learn to distill her essence and to understand the more active and positive part as much as the darker and more negative sides. we live as women in a circular way. We have a circular reality. It's not linear as we are so much told in so many ways by everything around us. We cycle. We go in cycle. We don't live in a linear way. Okay? So, and nature designed this, so we can't really change it. Yes, we can oppose it, but then we will fall vaguely into pain more often. Whereas if we follow it, as nature has got a few billions of years of success rate, I think it's pretty good, and might make sense, right? So, why not to follow this circular way of living and flowing? Think about, follow me for a moment. If we start going through spring, summer, and autumn and winter, and so on forth again, right? We experience all these different states. And the more we do it, the more we know ourselves. And the more we share with others, other men and women, and the more we grow. And then, if we do this work, and we become aware of it for all these years while we are menstruating, we will become better and better at getting access to all of us, of what is ourselves, our wisdom. And so by the time we reach menopause, we have this capacity to really reach any state at will. So if we flow this flow, we follow the feminine flow, our life can be less stressful, more creative, because we have time when we rest, when we are active, when we review stuff. And by doing this, because it's a natural process, we have more time, we feel more fulfilled, we feel freer, more joy, we're more aware, and we can have more fun. I think all in all is a win-win situation, don't you? Also, I want to share with you, I have a vision. I think the world needs us women empowered, but in this natural way, okay? So I think it's the time for women to become women of the 21st century. The world needs us, and we can be a refreshing breeze for the world. So who are these women of the 21st century? Now, this is my idea, and you can let me know if you have a different conception. The women of the 21st century are women who feel completely empowered, they follow the flow, and as a consequence of that, they find their own authority. And by doing that, they discover themselves so much, then they get to learn to enjoy their inner nature so much. And they are just happy to be on the path. And the self-discovery and self-realization of themselves is the ultimate prize. Are you ready to create this movement of the 21st century? It's time to do it. It means to be united in becoming ourselves and follow our intuition, our wisdom, authority, creativity, and love. We have to learn to spread our love. And to be able to spread our love, we have to feel this joy inside us, not to feel second to anybody, but just feel this joy, deep joy that comes from our soul, that fits us. So, are you going to join me for this peaceful revolution? I think that we can take humanity to the next level. And my question to you is, are you ready? How can you discover more about your feminine cycle? And in case it's a source of pain for you, for whatever reason, some women do experience during the month some pain, are you willing to explore something new and to look at it in a different way, make it your best friend? My offer to you is obviously to teach you, to help you to learn to track your feminine cycle. And why? What does it mean? It's very simple. If we learn to experience what is our truth in every single season, every single week of our month, we little by little expand. And we get to know ourselves intimately. And we can only do this if we are tracking our cycle and see what happens for us. Because as I was saying at the beginning, as long as it's just something that somebody else talks about, it's not the same. It's absolutely not the same thing. It has to become your truth. It has to become your experience. So I have a very special offer for you today. I am offering half an hour discovery session with me for a nominal fee. And I want to give this opportunity to all of you if you feel so inspired and if you feel that you are ready for it. Because it's my purpose to create this movement of the woman of the 21st century, to create a more peaceful world and to create a new reality for ourselves and humanity. This is my offer to you, and it's down to you to take it if you want to. As I say, it's a peaceful movement, and my goal is to help women to become their own authority, so they have to understand what is the right time for themselves. It's really a journey, and what I want to say to you and to all of you is like every journey, step by step, one day at a time. It's not a race. The best way to be able to really embrace your journey is by tracking your cycle. It's something very simple to do, and it can really take you places. On a daily basis, at the end of your day, you can take just a few moments and reflect for a moment and think, how has been my day? How has been my experience today? What I have encountered on my path, on my, how I've experienced myself? How have I done? How have I enjoyed it, or have I not? Is this something that I couldn't cope with, and what was it, etc. So at the end of the day, just for a few moments, think how your day has been, and then make a record of it. At the same time as well, you can make a note of how your body has been. So if you are, for instance, in winter, in your first week, and you're always menstruating, you might want to make a note of how it's been your flow. And maybe you can also add the phase of the moon, because that all will add over a period of time a knowledge of yourself. So you can pay attention to how your vagina felt. If you had, for instance, discharged, it can be really anything that you pay attention and you experience in the day. You can write as much as you want or as little as you want. But this, over a period of time, it will be very useful also for contraception purposes. But it will give you an inner knowledge of yourself that nobody can give you. Really, tracking is the major thing, the thing that can really open, is that key. It can open the doors to your inner knowledge. The last few minutes I would like to share with you my vision about the woman of the 21st century. You can download it also on the homepage of flyinspiration.com. You can download it and have it, but I would like to share it with you right now. The woman of the 21st century is the woman of the next generation. She is beautifully strong. She acts according to her soul purpose. And because of that, she's irresistibly magnetic. And she engages in empowering relationships with men and women. She gives birth every day to her reality. She pays attention to her feelings, and her feelings guide her to create what she wants. She does it through relationships that help her to discover more about herself. Relationships are her tool in the playground of life. Her feelings are her strength. They complement her intellect. They are a precious source of inner guidance. She is clear about her vision and purpose. Therefore, she is a beautiful inspiration. How does she do all this? She is in contact with her womb. She is aware of her cycle. She acts following its energetic flow. She elegantly flows in the river of life, guided by herself, her center. This makes her a magnet, a beacon of inspiration rather than perspiration. Do you like the picture? Does it sound enticing? Does it make you feel good? I can smell the scent of this woman. Life for this woman tastes great. Thank you for joining me, and I'm deeply, deeply touched that you joined me today, and I hope that our path will cross again soon. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.